Afternoon, everyone. I'm checking to see who we have here among us today. Looking at the participants. Yeah. Persons who may be interested in what is going on in China today and China as it was before. Okay. So this is supposed to be a light evening to enjoy, kick back and enjoy some Chinese culture. Let me introduce myself as Victoria Miller. In Chinese, my name is Wekatolia, Mila Wekatolia. I attended Beijing Yuan Xueyan, as it was known back in the day. It is now Beijing Yuan Dashui. So today I'm going to take a look at the Chinese experience. I've put a bit of yesterday and today in it. Why study in China? Why go to China in the first place? Well, for my part, I was looking for something exciting to do after graduation, something to broaden my horizons. I don't know if it broadened it broad enough, but to broaden my horizons and to educate myself generally, to learn more about the world. In 1990, as you know, would have been just 1 year short or some months after the Tiananmen disturbance with the students at Beijing Dashui, Beijing University. And so when the scholarship for myself was approved, you know, I did have some, I had applied, but then I did have some questions as to whether I would want to go immediately or not. And of course, I got, Barbados being very far away from China, I got a lot of, you know, questions from people asking if I still wanted to go, given what had been going on. But nevertheless, as things worked out, I went and I spent 2 years there as an advanced student in Beijing Yuan Xueyan Beijing Languages Institute. That's what we referred to it as, and familiarly referred to it as BLI. That was the common acronym used among the students of the day. So if I lapse into BLI, even though it's a language university now, that's, you know, that's the familiar term that I use to refer to Beijing Languages Institute or Beijing Language and Culture University. So what did I want to experience while I was there? What would anyone want to experience? I do not think that the things that I wanted to experience in 1990 have changed. Persons in 2021 would still want to experience those same things. So despite the 30 plus years that have passed, you know, what people may be looking for still obtains. So I went to experience some culture. What was the Asian and Chinese culture all about? I went, obviously, having applied for the scholarship to get some education in Chinese language. That was primarily what that was about, and culture. When I was there, I thought I didn't travel back to Barbados during those 2 years because the airfare was really great. So I stayed in China and I traveled around, you know, in the area in which I was. And it was an international experience in that I met many persons from all over the world, and you were exposed to other concepts outside of Barbados. What was China doing then? What industries they were into? So there were many facets. You know, as you moved around, you became aware that this was a vast place, and you know, they were developing, and they have developed rapidly, and even now, you know, there's still development. And then character development. Of course, being exposed to all of those things would certainly help you to mature, and you would not be the same. I certainly wasn't the same when I came back home in terms of my way of thinking, and you know, development in career-wise, education-wise, and you know, as a person as a whole. So I'm going to look at culture first of all. Yes, and I must say that now in Barbados, Chinese culture is very much more regarded and sought about. We can testify with that in the culture class that happens at the university. The co-curricular course that happens at the university. And from the time I came back, people, you know, would ask, well, what was it like? The curiosity, having students go out there, being, you know, among the first students that went out there, went to China, there was curiosity, certainly. Culture, first of all, the first thing that comes to me with the culture was the food. How do I adapt to the food? And using chopsticks to eat the food. My hand ached, but I gradually became accustomed to that. You know, one thing that I certainly enjoyed, and these are my favorite dishes right there on the screen that I have there. I enjoyed eating from the Mongolian hot pot when I visited Inner Mongolia. I enjoyed having Peking duck from many a restaurant in Beijing, where I was located. And of course, at Spring Festival, I enjoyed having the traditional dumplings, or jiaozi, as they are called, you know, dumplings filled with pork. And then, of course, when I was there, I saw that the Chinese ladies they don't dress like you know, traditional wear. This is the traditional wear of an example of traditional wear of the ethnic nationalities of China. And you know, there are several places that you can go and you can dress up in those ethnic nationalities. Inner Mongolia is one. Some of the trips in the west, southwest, going down towards the west in China, you have places where you can dress up in traditional garb and take photos and so on, and feel a part of the culture. Back then also, bicycles was the order of the day. They still have a lot of bicycles riding around campus, but nowadays, we have a lot of cars. The automotive industry has taken off. The supersonic, what do you call the planes and the bullet trains, and so you know, getting around is faster, a lot more motorways and so on. And the automobile industry has taken off in China. I must say, there is much more joint venture. Right here in Barbados, there is joint venture at what is Courtesy Garage with Nissan, Japan, and China. They have a joint venture, and I see that they do some automotive trade with Barbados using that agency. And also we have, in terms of culture, the traditional, apart from traditional dress, traditional food, we have traditional wear. You have your pottery, you have your silk. This is just a piece of silk fabric there. If you can see follow the cursor. And you know, Chinese silk was thought to be very light and what you should wear in the summer months. You know, I found it a little hot, but you know, that it's supposed to be cooling fabric. And you know, Chinese silk is very the quality is quite good. And there are places where you can go, and you can go to the silk factory and see where the silk is produced. And that, of course, is a big education, because we have nothing like that here in Barbados. You can, and they have silk products for on sale there. So you get a little information on how the silk is woven from the silkworm, and then you can see some of the products that are produced. The pottery that I included here recently, those who, if any one of the students who were at the last architectural lecture that I gave, the pottery was used to develop the bird's nest. So there's a little link between the pottery and the architecture of the bird's nest, the national stadium of Beijing, in Beijing, where the 2008 Olympics were held. Coming from, so that is just a little overview of culture, because the culture is very, very, very vast. Each ethnic nationality has their own peculiarities in terms of the food. The various regions in China have their own speciality. In Beijing, the food is thought to be more savory and not as spicy. In Sichuan province, the food is supposed to be, it is more spicy. And down south, the food tends to be sweeter, and they do more frying and that sort of thing than in the north. So, you know, you have dim sum and that sort of thing down there. So there is a vast variety of, you know, in terms of Chinese food. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world that I would see. I have seen so many different types of dishes. Apart from what is on the screen, I certainly enjoyed the fish that they prepare, a whole fish, and you have the savory sauce and so on to put on it, and that is quite nice. But I wouldn't take up much more time with that, because I do have a couple more topics to get into. So education in China. What did I do there in China? I studied Chinese language, Hanyu. And this would have been a couple just to see what we were about when we went to China. So here's a photo of myself and another Bajan who came to Beijing the year after me. Beijing Yuan Xuan, this was our Beijing Languages and Culture University. This picture would have been taken around 1992, the front of the university. I don't think it's changed. The university has undergone many changes. I don't think that since then, but I don't in terms of landscaping and development of the property and that sort of thing. But I don't think that this particular area has changed. I have seen some photos recently, and if you go on the website, you know, this area pretty much looks the same. And okay, and I just have a few. As I was putting up the photo there, I thought I would share a couple of the sayings that I would have received from my Chinese teachers at the very beginning of my course of study. Of course, we learned very quickly, 认真努力学习, Ranjan Nuliswe, she would study hard. And Zoye, Inga Zoye, please do your homework. And the NCC answer. Those are a few things that I thought I would just put on the screen there, having remember them, particularly from the grammar teacher. Okay. Going back here. So looking at education in China and education in Barbados, what did I expect when I got there? I'm comparing the two systems here. China on the left, you can see their information just below the flag, and it's similar to Barbados, and they have the preschool 3 to 6 years, primary 6 to 12, and middle school, what we call secondary school 12 to 18, and then university. It pans out to be about the same, because by the time you're 18, you go off to university if you follow along the road, along the path straight away. On the Barbados side, or preschool or kindergarten, 3 to 5 years, and then you enter primary 5, and you stay there until 11 years when you are required to sit the secondary school entrance examination, what is regularly known as the common entrance. And then we have secondary school 11 to 18. Some students can come out at 16 if they do not go on to sixth form between 16 and 18, or you can leave the secondary school at age 16 and go on to community college, Barbados Community College, or some other tertiary institution, the Polytechnic. We have that flexibility. And you have university then from 18 and up, or any other tertiary institution that you wish to attend. The approach, the hours of schooling are in China are much longer, I find, than Barbados. I was reading up some current information, and 7:30 to 6 could be a normal, it seems as a normal school day for Chinese secondary students, but they have 2 hours in between for break, lunch and break. We tend to, the earliest that I am aware of, St. Michael's School starts at 8 o'clock, and by 2 we are finished. Now that the pandemic is on and we're into online learning, the hours are even shorter. So the school systems are comparable, but I think in China, the Chinese, they tend to have more packed in, they're more rigid in terms of their times, more rigid in terms of what you are required to do within the time frame. So in my experience, when I was there, we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we continued until 11:30. We had our 11:30 break, and in the first year we were free. That you could, anything in the afternoon was flexible, but you were required, given the intensive course that we were following, we were required to do our own home study in the evenings. In the second year, as an advanced student, because it was an advanced studies program, because I had already finished my my university degree. So we were in the advanced studies program, which we like graduate students that come there to do a diploma, certificate, or something like that. So the first year was spent doing Chinese language, learning the language, and the second year we picked up various types of courses. So in the second year, the classes went until 4 o'clock in the evening. From 8, it started the same time to 4 in the evening, which the timetable was somewhat different to what we were accustomed to in Barbados. We have school, we just have our breaks during the day, and normally by 3 o'clock we would be finished, but the break times are longer in China. being that the Chinese go home or go to the family home or somewhere for lunch, congregate together for lunch, and they tend to take a little sushi, a little rest, and then then things start back up around 2 o'clock. It's somewhat similar to what they have for siesta, but everything doesn't totally shut down. But they do take a break during the course of the day, given that they start very earlier than us in Barbados. So that is the education, the schooling, the times, and the years of study, the course of study for an educational program of a person. In terms of what we studied, the first year would have been grammar. What you had your UFA, Tingli, your listening, and Koyu, your spoken language. In the second year, you had your options to choose what you wanted to do. We were given the option depended on how you performed in the first year. I ended up graduating in from the area of where I did some Balkan, which is newspaper reading, Cambodia. That was very interesting because at that stage we began to see how the Chinese characters were what should I say, abbreviated. For example, instead of in a newspaper article, instead of saying Beijing Dashui, you might say Beida. And the person who has studied Chinese language will understand that that Beida is referring to Beijing Dashui. Apart from Balkan, we have the usual grammar, Tingli, some, of course, your writing, Xie Hanse. We had that in the first year as well, Xie Hanse character writing, and also some introduction to some very light, or not heavy, not literature, very heavy literature, but some, what should I say, passages of cultural interests, texts of cultural interest to the foreigner about China. So that was our introduction to culture. And then in the end, we had to make a comparative study, a comparative analysis, right, in Chinese characters about China and compared to your own home country. So, so that pretty much gives an overview of my educational experience in the classroom. That is only in the classroom. Now, the way how the classes were run and taught is everything was in Chinese language. So, and it was all Chinese characters on the board. Pinyin was only used in the Tingli class, in the Tingli, or rather, I should say, Pinyin was only used for the first 10 lessons. After that, the Pinyin disappeared. For the UFA, for the grammar classes. For the listening comprehension classes, we continued using the Pinyin because Pinyin, of course, is the phonetic script or representation of the sounds of Chinese language in Romanized form. So using what we know as the Romanized alphabet, the letters that we would use in English. So that was continued to be used so that we would, when we listen, we could write the phonetic representation, the phonetic sounds, and it made it easy for us foreigners to, if we had to take notes and we might not remember the particular character or know the particular character of the time. If you know the remainder, you can just put in the pinyin and then go back and check and see what the character was or is. apart from that, the system of immersion, that educational tool, the system of immersion to learn the foreign language was great in that you got to speak it, you began to speak immediately from the first day, from the first lesson. And then you went on the street then afterwards, and the lessons were very pragmatic. That is the text that was created by Beijing Language and Cultural University, BLI. At the time, they produced their own text. And those texts were very pragmatic in that they knew the type of vocabulary that you would require in order to survive. So the lessons included those like my dongxi, buying things, going shopping. If we had to go to the clinic, camping, you had in your vocabulary that you would need functioning in the susha, the Liu Suishan susha, giving directions how to get to the various places. Zai Ying Hang at the bank, functioning at the bank, so you have the vocabulary to be able to function at the bank. Zai Shao Mai Bu, functioning in the small shops, being able to purchase stuff in the small shops. Your numbers, colors, buying clothing, because when we got there, we needed to get some winter clothing, given that Barbados is very hot, tropical climate, and I had no previous winter clothing. I had to find the means to get some winter clothing. So with the help of my colleagues, my classmates, persons who were on campus before, other West Indians that I would have encountered there. Certainly I was introduced to Wangfujing Street, because that was the street of the day where you went shopping in town. It still is there, Wangfujing, and it has taken on quite an appearance. The roads are well paved now. When last I've seen them, and the stores are more polished and well developed, and so yeah, Wangfujing Street was a place to go shopping, and you had all Chaoyan Daje and Yoi Shandian was there as well, and there was a little market. They have lots of markets in Beijing, where you can do some shopping and some bargaining and bartering. That was part of the lessons that we learned. Also, my don't see Tai Guila. Those sorts of phrases were in our text, so that when we got on the street, we could barter too, like the Chinese, and use the Beijing Hua, of the day. Then of course, if you wanted to travel, as many of the students did in the long breaks, because in the school system, you had your 2 breaks, which was different from our educational system in Barbados. You had your winter break, which was around the time of the Spring Festival, China's biggest festival, Chinese New Year. And that was generally late January or early February, depending on how the lunar calendar fell. And the time off was about 1 month. And in summer, you had your 2 months break from July to all the way down to late September. So during that time, what would you do? Some people, those who lived in Asia and around and close around and could afford it, they went home. Or they traveled in the summer, and therefore I found places of interest to go to, and did my own exploring as well. So of course, in our classes, the vocabulary and the text also helped us with the travel, because you had your buy Ho and you learned, you know, which seats to buy and what not to buy, and then which train to take and the stations and functioning in that sort of way. So apart from just learning the language in a vacuum, I say that the experience was very pragmatic in that what we learned in school geared us and helped us to be able to function in everyday life and everyday activities. Here, at the end of the first year, the Nian Wan Sui Wan Liao or Sui Wan Le. This would have been Yu Lao Shi, my grammar teacher. And at the end of the year, the hard work for that first year paid off because we got our reports. These are our reports, and Yu Lao Shi gave us the option of going to a more advanced department, or if we wanted to stay in our department, in my department. I must say that in my case, I went to the more advanced department, but I think the gap was a bit too high for me, and I did lose out on some time. So I returned to the second department where it was originally, and that is the department that I graduated from. So, but when I went and I spoke to the Chinese office about that, and they accommodated me. I was a bit late, and by the time midterm had come, it was too late for me to join a class, but certainly I was encouraged to do studies on my own. I still had to keep looking in the books to do studies on my own. And then after the end of that term, I joined the class in the proper class in the second department. And these are my teachers from the first year. In the second department, this was Yu Lao Shi on the right. This is myself. This is Ding Lao Shi, the Tingli teacher, and this was my teacher on Saturdays. Yes, I forgot to say we had classes on Saturdays for half day from 8 until 11:30. Her name is, I think, Liu Lao Shi. And after the next year of study, this would have been in 1992, Biela. So I finally graduated. Most of these are Eastern Europe students, and only one Italian here. This lady was from Italy. This lady from Yugoslavia. She was, at that time, there was much disruption going on in Yugoslavia. She's from West Europe. I can't remember which country now she's from. He was Canadian. This guy was Canadian, and this young lady here is Japanese. This guy was Canadian as well, and this lady, I can't remember her nationality at the moment. These are the teachers here. This is my Balkan teacher. I don't remember the names now, but he taught Balkan and Xingwen Tingli. I did not have the opportunity to do Xingwen Tingli. That was more advanced, but he certainly helped me, and I had a good experience with him doing Balkan. That is newspaper reading. Here, these were the grammar and the Tingli teachers here. Okay. Now, so that is a synopsis of the educational experience. I don't know if anyone has anything that they would want to say at this point in time, but if not, I'll continue along the way. In terms of travel, as I mentioned before, you had your breaks, your school breaks. The terms were quite, the break times were quite long. So you had opportunity to travel in the summer and in the winter. And in the winter vacation, everybody wanted to get down south because the wind was high in Beijing. And I mean, I've never seen treetops moving like they did when those winds came across from the Gobi Desert. And they you know, so in summer you had the opportunity to go to either beach resorts, places in China where there was some shoreline where you had beach. And I took the opportunity while I was there over the 2 years, more than one occasion, more than one in the summers, I went over to Beidaihe, a little beach resort just off Beijing. The school organized trips, short trips. This is one trip in the second year with a fellow Jamaican who had just come up. And we went to, this is the Great Wall, and they, the guard huts, they had persons there at the time functioning as though they were back in the day, how the guards would be there in the Great Wall to protect the country from attack. We also, Beijing Yuan also arranged visits to Fragrance Hill Park, and that generally happened in the summer, in the autumn, so that we could experience the autumn breeze and the trees. It's a very lovely view in the autumn where you have all of the trees going, rust color, brown, orange, various colors. Fragrance Hill Park, very, very nice. I did join up with a group, and we went to, in one winter, we went to another school group, organized school group. We went to, we did several trips all the way down to various sites, all the way down to Hong Kong, not Hong Kong, to Guangzhou. And this particular scene is from Guilin, the Elephant Hill, famous Elephant Trunk Hill. In Guilin, as you can see, the rock formation there looks like the trunk of an elephant coming off into the water. And here we have one of the parks in Hong Kong. I did one of my visits over to Hong Kong. I did have opportunity to visit a nature park and so on, and look at the gardens and so they offer some lovely opportunities, and those are just a few. I mean, in terms of travel, China has so much that you can see in the various provinces. There you have, I'm showing you a yurt. That is what they lived in Inner Mongolia. That was the accommodation that I had, that little tent, what the typical Mongolians would live in. This is a section of the summer palace, Yiheyuan. This is a section of Hong Kong, overlooking the tall buildings, overlooking the sea. Nowadays, in order to travel from Beijing to Hong Kong, you have the bullet train, so you can get there, or to Shanghai rather, you can get there quickly. But you know, back in the day, it took me overnight. It took a day or so to get from Beijing to Shanghai, and we would, you know, you had to spend 3 days, 2 nights in a train to get from Beijing to Guangzhou, Guangdong province. Here we have a nice picture of a modern scenery of Guangzhou. And we have a picture here of the modernized airport in Beijing. It went under heavy modernization, especially around 2008 when they were having the Olympics to accommodate all of the tourists and, you know, and all the activity. So nowadays we have travel, and we even have, you can do cruise ships, cruise liners that go to Hong Kong and so on. But I imagine all of that will pick up again, you know, after the after the pandemic dies down, but certainly there is quite a bit to see there. I haven't even touched on Tiananmen Square. I haven't even touched on Gugong. I haven't even, looked at Tiantan, the Temple of Heaven. All of those are sites within Beijing. Those don't even have anything to do with South China and Hong Kong. All the different, Xi'an with the terracotta warriors and the various sites, and so there's so much that you can see there. So that is Lusing travel. I'm trying to get through because I don't want to encroach on Renee's time. So an international experience. It certainly was an international experience. In terms of the Liu Shui-Shen Susha, Liu Shui-Shen Susha being the foreign students dorm or student accommodation, there were so many students there. I mean, wow, I got to know and meet so many persons of different nationalities. It really was one hell of an experience there. Here, and the class sometimes came together and did many things. We had our little groups and so on. We would go to have lunch, go to have something to eat after class. If it was a birthday, we would come together and celebrate the birthdays. Here we have a picture of a Romanian student. My second roommate, my first roommate was a Mongolian, but I switched rooms because of I switched rooms with my roommate too, and I became roommate to the Romanian student. I switched rooms mainly because the Mongolian student tended to smoke quite a bit, and I really not a smoker. So one of my friends told me, well, if it's summer, summer now, you can open the windows, but in winter, if she's going to smoke in the room, it's the smoke gets into everything. So not only that, I wasn't accustomed to all the smoke, so I requested to have a room change, and I must say the shifu and the dormitory was quite accommodating, and she told me if there's she didn't have one available, but if there was anyone that I wanted to switch with, I was welcome to do so. So that was very good, and I quickly found a room that didn't have a roommate in it, from one who didn't have a roommate in their room, and I was able to be accommodated there. And it was and after that, I had no issue. Unfortunately, my roommate, she had studied Chinese before she came to Beijing, so she was able to, and from a very young age, so she was able to to help me with my Zoye, and things worked out quite well. So we had a very good rapport. Here also you will find one of the nationalities in my class. This is Kylie, an Australian classmate, and so we often went out and do a little touring or so on, and we come together in the evenings or the weekends after class. She and another young lady, Susan, they were studying. Susan and Kylie, they did a short-term course, shorter than mine, in Beijing, and they were in my class. The class also included French Africans from Cameroon. We had the Cameroonian ambassador's son there in the class. We had Colombians. This young lady here seated, Maritza, she was from Colombia. This guy here, he was from Jordan. I think or Palestinian Jordan. I think he was from. He also had another country mate, but he's not present. These were Japanese and Koreans who were also in the group. So we had quite a mixed bag. We had quite a few Latin American students in the group, and Africans, persons of African origin, and Australian, and there were some Canadians as well. Here, that was in the first year. In terms of international experience now, there were some joint ventures going on in China at the time when I was there, in the industry of, in the dairy industry, Swiss, because food, milk products were not very prevalent there. And for some food items, we had joint, we were exposed to seeing products from joint ventures springing up. As things progress today in the 21st century, you can see from the pictures below how China has developed in terms of architecture. There's joint venture there. These are two buildings, two famous buildings in Shanghai. And this is Shenzhen. And then the car there represents the automobile industry. Tianjin was notorious for the production of cars. Now they have electric cars. They have all sorts of joint ventures, as I mentioned, Nissan. There's joint venture with Nissan, which is evident here. They do production and of other brand names, BMWs and Mercedes are quite popular there. So my little bicycle that I used to get along on, you know, would be very much out of date, but I was grateful for it to get around. Nowadays, you know, everything's, there's so many motorways and so on. I wouldn't even want to get on a bicycle there now. You know, I would, I might probably injure myself. So yeah, so it certainly was an international experience. In terms of building one's character, certainly I would say that it was a character building experience. Not only was there the study and the sightseeing, of course, because you wanted to see where you were located and so on, and but certainly in terms of managing your life and having to make your own decisions. Those were things where you know you were on your own. I certainly in my case I was on my own for the first time for such a long period of time, as in 2 years. There are students apart from me who have been longer than that. You know, some go to do a degree there and have to spend 4 years or 5 years, 6 years, even max. So it certainly is a place where you learn to develop. You have to manage your money. You have to you know, try to survive. You are interacting with many different cultures and many different persons. So you need to you know, to be mindful of those cultures and those various personalities. You certainly you have to be mindful of you know, and then you know, you try to assimilate the Chinese culture, because you know, now China is more open. You have exchanges and that sort of thing. So you can be more exposed to the Chinese culture. Back then, the Chinese were more developing, and so you know, from that point of view, the interaction with the Chinese on campus was not like what it would be today. And in terms of character development, certainly, you know, the experience of travel and survival so far away from the small island of Barbados was a tremendous, and certainly a tremendous experience that I would not trade for anything. So at this point in time, I've spoken enough. If there are any questions, I would be willing to take them now in the little, what I have, just under 10 minutes, 9 minutes before Renee comes on at 4.
Thank you, Vicky, for taking me back to memory lane. I'm sure.
You can talk about the gift giving. I remembered in the trains where they said that, you know, you couldn't tip any of the persons working in the train. No tipping. There was a no tipping policy and so on. But so certainly gift giving was something that you know, part of the culture. So I leave you to talk about that, which was very much revered, and they appreciated what they got. So I leave you to talk about that, you know, if there's no other no question.
Thank you, Vicky. That's a very wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I stop? Yes.
Yeah, I'm very interested in your experience in China. Your learning Chinese at the Beijing Language Culture University.
Yes,
so I saw lots of interesting pictures. I may think, could you do me a favor, share me some of the pictures? Let me check with Lisa whether this teacher is still there. That will be wonderful to share some stories. Yeah, so see people there, teachers there. Let's see.
Well, you can check
in Barbados, coming from Barbados and study Chinese. That's I wonder what's yeah. My question is, are you the first group to China to study Chinese? Are you among the first group?
As far as I am aware, there were no other students who went to study Chinese from Barbados before 1990. And yes, so that is when I went. And as you can see in the photo here, let me go back. The photo, one of the photos, I actually realized that it has 92 on it, which is the last year that it was there, when it was
the last year
to graduate. Let's see, this one here has 92 in it.
So you went there in 1990, the year 1990. So have you ever... Very good, very informative. You're a pioneer.
Pioneer.
You're a pioneer. Yes, I see. I'm very interested in this part. And how many of you coming to China?
There were two of us who went to China there. You would recall, yes, there is Michelle. There was Michelle Hickson. Two of us traveled from Barbados to Beijing.
You and Michelle. Okay,
yes, we traveled. We actually traveled together. Yes, we received our information from the People's Republic, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China here in Barbados.
Okay.
And the officials there were responsible for providing us with the details of Beijing UWI-CH. There was a booklet that was provided to us. We went through it and we chose what courses we wanted to do. Of course, neither of us knew that each of us had chosen the same school. We did not know. It's only when the...
Any other schools besides except Beijing Language and Culture University? Any other schools?
I do not, given that I was doing a language degree, I did not apply for anything else. I do not know if Michelle applied for anything else, but I certainly applied for Chinese language.
Okay.
And then when yes, I applied for Chinese language, and it was only when the scholarships were awarded that that I knew that there was another recipient of Chinese scholarship. So yes, when we went then to the embassy official told me that there was another student. So we then got in contact with one another. That's how we became, I knew Michelle. She went to St. Michael's, the St. Michael's school, the same school that I went to. And she also went to University of the West Indies, and she was there when I was there as well. Okay. But we were never very close at university. We knew one another's face and so on because we were at the same institutions. but we were not, we did not know one another very closely. So, you know, when we found out that each of us were selected, we knew we knew one another from seeing each other at the university.
Oh.
So then we traveled together. We boarded the plane from Barbados, and we went to New York. We overnighted in New York. We had the same arrangement, the same hotel. We shared hotel room.
Oh.
We shared the same hotel room.
Mm.
And then we after overnighting, we traveled directly then to Hong Kong.
Okay.
We went to San Francisco and then to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong to Beijing.
Okay.
Yes, so we'll stop over in Hong Kong.
Yes.
In the airport, you know, stop in the airport.
Nice.
In transit, and on to Beijing. We arrived in Beijing in the dead of night. So at that time, I didn't know any Chinese at all.
Oh.
And the embassy
That's my
official.
second question. Yeah. So any Chinese has been taught here before you come into China? If you are not studying Chinese, you are not studying Chinese before you come into China.
No.
Any information about the Chinese teaching here? No Chinese.
No. All I had was the booklet. All I received was the booklet that I used at the embassy to get the information on the various colleges. And then I handed it back to them because it was just loaned to select your colleges. And then at that time, there was no internet to forward things to you.
Okay.
And how could I forget? I forget. Now, of course, today in China, everything is done on the cell phone. I put a cell phone there to help me to remind me of that point. In slide 11, everything is done on the cell phone. There were no cell phones at that time, and there were not even handheld devices that we could use. You know, so we had phone cards. Phone cards was the means of communicating on the pay phone. You use your phone cards. Oh, so yeah, everything is done on cell phone also. We weren't able to communicate, you know, there was no way of forwarding any information to me. Now I can say that those who are going out to study Chinese and benefit from the educational opportunity there in China, you are fortunate because you have the opportunity to have some Chinese tuition through the Confucius Institute. And also I was involved at the Barbados Community College to provide some basic conversational tuition to those who wanted to go on to China to study. And Jocelyn, I can say, is one of the ones who benefited from that. Yes. Yeah, that is basically it in a nutshell. We didn't have any prior knowledge of Chinese before we went to China, Grace. That answers your question?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Can I stop sharing now so that Renee can prepare her presentation?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mute. You are mute.
Sorry. Good evening, everyone. Thanks again, Vicky, for that that trip down memory, like I called it. The no internet, no knowing Chinese before you go, having to use a dictionary to look for characters and words. Yeah, and the phone cards. I did forget about the phone cards, but yes, the only way to communicate with family back home and the 12-hour difference being a very major impact.
Yes.
Then good times. Anyway, my presentation this afternoon is on gift giving, or as it says here on this gift, Song Li, which means to give gifts. As we know, China has a very long history, and with that history, its etiquette has formed and been passed down through generations. And for Chinese people, courtesy demands reciprocity, which means that people who are well-mannered to others receive kindness and favors. Now, if they receive a gift, an invitation, or hospitality treatment from somebody, they will offer it back to the person when it is suitable. This is called Li Shang Wang Lai in Chinese. The customary reciprocity is also considered a traditional way to build and maintain friendships. So gift giving is a way of life, is a tradition that is very important to Chinese people. We're gonna start with a look at etiquette. Now, etiquette in this gift giving business is quite important. It goes for visiting persons, for doing business, and for generally how we would give gifts, like for birthdays and stuff like that. I remember having to do a similar presentation for one of my courses when I was studying, and I realized that locally, I don't think we have many traditions or taboos when it comes to gift giving. We generally give gifts that we think people would like or appreciate and that they would enjoy. I don't know if as much thought goes into do's and don'ts for gift giving as it does for Chinese. So yes, you bring in your gift for your host, and the recipient would often decline the gift, and the giver will have to insist a bit. We'll go into the reason for that a little later. Any gift you give should be well wrapped, and there are reasons for this as well. Here we have that the meanings of the colors for gift giving: red for happy occasions, white or black for funerals, and gold or silver for weddings. So if you're going to meet with an employer, you wouldn't take anything wrapped in white or black, because that is giving the idea that you're hoping somebody dies, or you think somebody's going to die, or that the deal is not going to go off because of the inclinations. And always choose a wise gift. Now, I'm going to start with things that you should avoid doing. Here we say avoid overly cheap or expensive gifts. Now, with this history that China has, the Chinese culture places a heavy emphasis on mianzi, or saving face, or giving face. So it's important to consider choosing your gift carefully and to pick a suitable gift for the recipient's economic status. So you don't want to give, for example, the head of a company that you're looking to do business with a bar of chocolates. You know, we give them something suitable to their status. Now, overly expensive gifts can be deemed inappropriate because it puts the receiver in an uncomfortable situation that they may not be able to return with such an expensive gift. So while you might be thinking, okay, this person is the boss and they can appreciate something of high quality, they may not be able to reciprocate in such a high standard, and then you put them at a loss and they can lose face. No, on the contrary, you don't want to give a gift that is not as valuable to someone, because then you appear cheap or stingy, and that will not go well for your face. Mm-hmm. And it's a case sometimes that it's not just the thought that counts. So you need to be aware of the monetary value of any gifts that you give. So to avoid appearing greedy where he had talked about earlier about the recipient declining. The recipient maybe decline the first time it's offered because they don't want to appear as though your gift is the only thing that they're interested in. And this goes for even giving birthday gifts and stuff. So you would ask them again, and it is customary, or it's a little bit more relaxed these days, but it was customary for a gift to be claimed up to 3 times before it was accepted. So do not be offended if you go to give a Chinese a gift and they don't immediately take it. You go again, because that is the culture. Go again, and don't be pushy, right? If the gift has been absolutely refused, don't press, but accept the refusal. They don't want to take it. It is their right and it is their custom. Over here, you have some hongbaos or red envelopes with lots of Chinese money, but we'll come to those red envelopes in another slide. Sorry. Consider the color of your gift and the wrapping paper. Color symbolism is major in China. In their culture, the color red traditionally symbolizes good luck and happiness. It's one of the reasons that red envelopes are given to children and teenagers, primarily during the Spring Festival, and to newlywed couples at weddings. Likewise, it is common to receive red clothing as a birthday gift during one's zodiac year of birth, as some people believe it helps to ward off bad luck. On the other hand, though, you should never write a Chinese person's name in red ink, because that people think that can bring the person bad luck. You don't write a person's name in red ink. I remember my lecturer saying that the only instance where a red ink pen is generally used is like a teacher correcting your book, but you wouldn't write in somebody's book in red ink. You wouldn't head up, or you wouldn't write a greeting card in red ink. That is considered a taboo. And other colors also have different meanings. We already mentioned black and white, indicating death, because those are the colors that are generally used at funerals and for mourning. So you would not, as a guy, buy a bouquet of white roses to give your girlfriend. She would be like, why do you wish me dead? What have I done? Because white flowers are what you would present at a funeral. Now the phrase Dai Liu Mao, as you can see here, which means a green hat, literally translates to wearing a green hat. And this in Chinese means that a man's wife is cheating on him. So you would never give a green hat as a gift to a Chinese man, because you'll be telling him that his wife is cheating on him, and clearly you have information that he should know about. Yeah. So no green hat. And like they say, if ever in doubt, you go for red. Now this next one, don't give gifts in front, don't open gifts in front of your gift giver. Now, I don't know about most people, but if somebody gives me a gift, or if I give a gift, and speak from my perspective, if I give someone a gift, I want them to open it. I want to see their reaction when they receive the gift and see that they truly enjoy whatever it is that they're getting. Now, it's a little different in the East, as Chinese won't open your gift immediately. They believe that opening gifts immediately will show the gift giver or the visitors that they care more about the value of the gift than the person visiting them. And this is somewhat impolite. They will open the gift in Chinese etiquette. Gift giving happens after the party or the visit or whatever the event is, and then they will offer back or send thanks, a thank you message or a card to the person that they will receive gifts from. Now, if you receive a gift and you want to be in a hurry to open it, that's fine, but you should ask the giver if they would mind if you open it at the same time. Now, after receiving a gift, you can call back, send a gift back, or send a message to show your appreciation. And remember, when you're accepting and giving gifts, always use both hands and always point the gift to the person, as this shows you respect the other person and you're grateful for the interaction with them. Right? So don't be like this happy lady here and open your gift right away. That is done after your guests have left. Continue with avoiding certain gifts. We don't give shoes in China as a gift, generally speaking. I mean, yes, a parent can buy shoes for their child, but in Chinese culture, they have this superstition with regards to shoes, and it is with regards to the word that is for shoes, which is xie, and it's a homophone for xie or evil. So giving someone a pair of shoes is thought to be giving them bad luck. And conversely, it can also be seen as giving them the tools to walk away, and can be misinterpreted as saying you want to part ways, thus ending your relationship. So I guess it can be convenient as well if a couple wants somebody and a couple wants to break up, they can give the other partner a pair of shoes and say, well, you know, we're breaking up, you can leave. But generally speaking, you wouldn't give shoes as a gift because it has the homophone connection with evil. Another thing we will avoid in gift giving in China or to Chinese is to give a watch or a clock, because to give is song and the word for clock or watch is zhong, and zhong sounds very similar to care for a dying elderly or person or to attend a funeral. So giving someone a clock implies that you're waiting for them to die. And I don't think this is what you're trying to say to them. So for example, if you have, like, I know locally we would have, if a friend moves into a new apartment or something, you would give them little things to decorate the house, and giving a clock would be an affordable gift to give a friend. But in China, you wouldn't do that because of the indication that you're waiting for them to die, due to the homophone connection between the giving of a clock and the caring of some person who is dying or wishing or attending a funeral. Continue with this homophone and sound pronunciation relationship. You saw it with the shoes, you try it with the clock. This is also another one. Giving gifts in sets of 4. Now, the number 4 in Chinese is pronounced si, and the word for death in Chinese is pronounced si, and the two of them are very similar. So to give somebody anything that comes in 4s is to say that you're wishing them ill will, or death. And that clearly is not something that you want to be doing when you're giving someone a gift. I remember reading somewhere that for the previous one, when you're giving gifts, avoiding giving gifts of clocks or watches, that this was a major diplomatic incident where a Chinese president was given a gift as a watch. I can't remember. I think it was from a Hungarian representative or something. And it was a very embarrassing situation. So it might seem simple. I mean, yes, if somebody gives you a nice expensive watch as a gift, for us, that is like them saying we value you. But in this case, it is something to be avoided. I don't know if we give gifts, mirrors as gifts locally. I don't think I would. But you don't give mirrors as gifts in China because they believe that mirrors attract ghosts. And in addition to that, mirrors get broken easily, and this is seen as a bad omen, not just in China, locally. This is probably seen as a bad omen worldwide. So you would avoid giving mirrors as gifts because of the bad omen if they should break, and the fact that it's thought that they attract ghosts. Now, while a fruit basket is a nice gift to give, make sure that you take the pears out, because again, another homophone that to come across with gift giving is li. Li is the Chinese for pear, and if you cut a pear, you fun li, and that is the same as if you're saying you're parting ways with someone. So, for example, here we would take gift baskets to persons in the hospital. Similarly, if you take a gift basket to a person in the hospital, you would not put any pears in it, because if you funly, you mean that you can mean that you wish they soon die, that they soon leave, and that is not what you want to imply with this. Conversely, if you are giving apples and oranges are considered good gifts to give, because again, with the connotation with the names in Chinese. Another set of things to avoid. Yes, and I know it sounds like there's a lot to avoid when giving gifts, but it is worth it to do this research first. It is bad form to give somebody a fan or an umbrella. Again, these words sound like the word san or san, which means to scatter or to have the people part ways. So for example, you would not give your partner a fan, even though you might see that they don't have one. It might be better to just give them the money to buy one, because of the implication of the Chinese sound in the word. Again, you should not give sharp objects either, because sharp objects like scissors or knives or anything that's used to cut things indicates that you want to sever a friendship or a relationship. So these two would not be gifts that you would give to Chinese. So again, like the clock, if you have a friend that's moving into a new apartment, you wouldn't give them knives, a knife set for their kitchen, because you would be indicating that you want to sever the friendship with them. And I don't think that that's what you want to be saying. Now, this avoidance is of a more personal nature. Things like ties and necklaces and belts, these are considered personal items that you would give to a partner. So these are not things that you would give to a friend or a work colleague because of how they're viewed. Likewise for handkerchiefs, because handkerchiefs do have the connotation of saying goodbye to somebody or breaking up with somebody. So that is not something that you would give as a gift either. I hope you're taking notes. There's a long list of don't gives. Now we're going to move on to the part that you can give gifts. Gift giving, though, also has guidelines for when certain gifts are to be given. So, for example, from what you can see here, during Chinese New Year, it's good to give alcohol to friends or tobacco if your friend smokes, or home supplies. Home supplies, ensuring that you're not giving them any knives or cloths or anything of that nature. Gifts for seniors would be gloves and hat, clothes, a foot massager, ginseng. For the clothes, you can understand as they get older, they would feel the elements more. Foot massage and ginseng is to show that you care about their health and you want them to continue for a long time. And for children, books, chocolate, toys. Toys are always a good option. And the famous red envelope, which you would put money in. And this can be done for birthdays, for traditional festivals, etc. So the gifts you can give. Alcohol. It works all over the world, unless it's a Muslim country, which is where it's not allowed. But alcohol works. And if you are as a non-Chinese, if you can give alcohol from your country, something that they cannot easily attain, then the value is even higher, because they would have something that is unique that they can, display and share with others, etc. Right? If you're in China, you can't get a hold of your local alcohol, or if you can't afford certain things, you would go with one of the options here, the Timetable, which is a famous brand of Chinese alcohol, and you can get them at different value levels. But alcohol is always an appreciated gift for adults. These notes. Another gift that is always considered a good gift to have or to give is tea. Tea, because of its health properties and the fact that you are giving tea, you're wishing good health and long life to the person that you're giving it to. They say here just to remember to avoid tea bags. That's a bit tacky. Instead, high quality tea leaves in a nice tin that is gonna preserve the quality of the tea leaves is preferred. And there are quite a lot of options for this in China. Clothes. Now clothes, again, this is an easy gift to give. Remember to avoid shoes, as we mentioned earlier, but clothing, hats. No green hats to men, but clothing in general, gloves and scarves and stuff like that, especially during winter, as you see here, are a good gift to give, because they show that you care for the well-being and comfort of the person that is receiving the gift. And the Chinese tend to be somewhat sentimental, so whenever they use the article of clothing that they receive, they will always remember the giver fondly. Now, like alcohol and tea, the red envelope, hongbao, is an easy gift to give. Like they say, especially around the Chinese New Year, at weddings and on birthdays, definitely to give to children. And you would try to aim for crisp new bills in multiples of 100, but that's not always possible. But you would avoid numbers such as 40 or 400, anything that has the number 4 in it, because as we mentioned earlier, 4 has a connotation with the word for 4 in Chinese has the homophonic connotation with which means death, and we do not want that. So you would not put $40 or $44 even in a hongbao, but you can put 88 or 60, because 6 and 8 are numbers that are considered lucky and fortunate for a Chinese. So $800 or $80 or $68 even would be a better option, but nothing with no quantities of 4. I'm not sure why we have white roses there, but anyway. Another set of things for children, toys are always a good option. Toys are always a good option if you can get them remote control, if you can get them not made well. Traditional toys for your country anything that would be local to you, foreign to them, would be even more accepted. Legos are a good toy, and seeing that Chinese have an affinity for engineering, that sort of stuff that you can build yourself, stuff that STEM related toys are always welcome, at least by the children's parents, if not by the children, because it shows that you're interested in their education and development. So toys are always a good option for gift giving for children. Now, I don't know how many of you have this dilemma, but oftentimes you don't know what to give as a gift. You might not be comfortable buying alcohol because you don't know what is a good brand, or if it's going to be too expensive or whatever. So you have the option of gift cards. And this will work anywhere when you don't know what gift to choose. Many businesses in China would offer gift cards, so you can have gift cards for massage parlors, restaurants, etc. And as I see here, that some places will give you a free gift if you purchase a larger gift bundle. So it's a win-win for you, because then you'll get an extra gift to give to whoever you couldn't think of. But yes, gift cards are great because then the persons can actually go and get what they want. So if you do that, then they can go buy their own shoes or their own umbrella or knives or clock or anything like that, and you wouldn't have to worry about offending them. Plants are another option to give, but choose something that is easy to take care of, so that you know it will be there for a long time. So they would suggest succulents and cacti because they're easy to take care of, and they're cute as well. So if you don't know what to give as a gift, then a plant, a gift card, or some alcohol or tea are good options, good general options to give. I have a video to kind of cement what we would have seen. So just give me 1 second, I think. Oh, wait. Okay, I am not getting it. Give me 1 second. One second. Let me see if I can open it in a fresh tab. Can you hear the video? Is anyone seeing the video and hearing the video?
I can see it, but I can't hear it.
Okay, all right. Let me, yeah, I know. Give me 1 second. There we go. Okay, so we should be good to go now.
Welcome to the Yo-Yo Chinese Guide to Gift Giving in China. Gift giving in China is a lot different from Western countries. In China, giving a gift to someone is customary when you want to do something like thank a friend, say goodbye to someone, meet your partner's family, or meet with a business associate. Since both the gift-giving customs and appropriate gifts differ greatly from the West, we've put together a guide to help you through this gift-giving process in China. Gift-giving do's and don'ts. First, let's take a look at the general customs for giving gifts. Do, feel free to leave price tags and receipts in the bags if it's an expensive gift. Unlike in most Western countries, you don't have to take off the price tag in China. Do, hold the gift in both hands when giving it to the recipient. Using both hands to give and receive gifts is proper etiquette. Don't, worry about including a card. Greeting cards are rarely used in China, so a Chinese person wouldn't expect a card along with their gift. Selecting the right gift. Gifts for family. When you're meeting your partner's family for the first time, or even during a visit, a gift is expected. These are some great gift ideas that are popular in China. Vitamins and supplements. These are great gifts for in-laws, as Chinese people are very health conscious. You can also give American ginseng, herbal teas, or a good quality multivitamin. Food or fruit baskets full of delicious and exotic fruits. This is the go-to gift of choice if you have no idea what to give or if you've never met someone before. Also, if your hometown is known for special food, buy some to take along as gifts. Clothing. Sweatshirts or t-shirts from a university or tourist area near your hometown are great gift options for people under 50. Barbies, Legos, and board games. These are great choices for kids, plus they're quite rare and expensive in China. Gifts for friends. With friends, you'll likely spend less money than you would on family, but the same type of gifts are generally appreciated. Clothing. Sports apparel, especially if you know their favorite team, is a good gift for sports fans of all ages. Perfume and lotions. Fragrances are catching on in mainland China, so stocking up on lotions and body sprays is a good idea. Business acquaintances. Whether you're starting a business relationship or strengthening an existing one, a tasteful gift will go a long way in developing and maintaining the relationship. Engraved pens. Whether it's a nice pen from your company or engraved with the recipient's name, it's a practical gift that will get used again and again. Local snacks. Giving a food from your area is both a great gift and conversation starter. Cigarettes and alcohol. Whether we like it or not, these are popular and well received by most Chinese businessmen. Even if the recipient doesn't drink or smoke, they can re-gift it to someone who does. Gifts to avoid. Some gifts should be avoided at all costs due to cultural symbolism or the fact that the word has a similar pronunciation to something undesirable. Clocks. The phrase to give a clock in Chinese, song zhong, has the same pronunciation as the phrase song zhong, which refers to paying one's last respects to a loved one. Due to the sound connection between these two words, giving a clock is in bad taste. Chrysanthemums. Although these flowers are lovely and make a tasty tea, you don't want to give them for gifts as they're often used for funerals. Umbrellas. There are many beautifully crafted umbrellas in China, but they're not appropriate for gift giving. The word for umbrella, san, sounds like the word san, which means to separate. Giving an umbrella symbolizes that the relationship you share with the recipient may soon dissolve. Shoes. Avoid buying shoes as a gift, especially for your partner. Not only does the word for shoes, 鞋, sound just like the word for evil, 邪, it's also said that you want the recipient to leave you. The idea being that they'll wear those very shoes to walk away from the relationship. Green hats. Green hats should be avoided because of the phrase to wear a green hat, or 戴绿帽子, which is used to express that a man's wife is cheating on him and has its roots all the way back to the Yuan dynasty. The number 4. When giving cash gifts, avoid giving an amount that includes a 4, such as 40 or 400, since the pronunciation of 4, 4, sounds like the word for death, 死. Alright, that wraps up our list of some of the best gifts to give and avoid when giving gifts in China. To continue studying Chinese with us, head to yoyochinese.com, where you can try the first 5 units of our beginner conversational course for free.
Cool. That was a quick little walkthrough of some do's and don'ts of gift giving in China. And it like they mentioned, any occasion where you have to give gifts, whether it's a get together, whether it's a reunion, whether it's a business deal, gift giving has different connotations in China than it does, I would say, for us. So you have to be mindful of who you're giving it to and when you're giving it, because, for example, during the Spring Festival, the best thing to give really would probably be hongbao and alcohol, or probably fruits as well. But you have to be mindful, like I said, of the occasion and who you're giving it to, so that you do not offend anyone or make your host lose face. And that is pretty much the end of my presentation. You have room for questions, comments, ideas, etc. And I have a list here. Grace, I can send you the presentation later if you want to share it. But you have a collection of sites where you can get more information on gift giving etiquette and do's and don'ts, etc. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. That's good one. Said the gift giving sounds like very complex. Very complex, and people can, yeah. But your guidance is good. Don't and do and don'ts, right? Taboo,
Yes,
something.
the do's and the don'ts.
Yes.
Do's and don'ts.
Yeah.
Just remember not to give anything in fours, no pairs, no umbrellas, no clocks, no shoes, nothing sharp. I think that should pretty much wrap it up. And make sure your colors, no black and white, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
Stick to red and money.
Yeah, so that follow your the advice. People will not make mistake. Yeah, but in some places not strictly follow this taboo or something. Yes. Because
as China opens up and develops more, certain things will start to fade away. But these are traditionally what you would avoid or what you would give.
You don't know who is very, how to say, 保守的 conservative.
Yes, exactly. So to be on the safe side,
safe position. Yes. But youngsters mostly are very, they're
very open. They're not as strict. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally sometimes you go ahead, Rodney, please. Rodney, are you talking? I feel sometimes when I give people gifts, I sometimes like hesitate. They find it difficult to make decision. You like you said, you have to evaluation. You have to whether this is too expensive or too cheap for somebody. Yes, it's just our daily life. I guess the Barbadian people have the same issues.
Well, I mean, you try to gift appropriately.
Yeah.
Right. And also, I don't think it is necessarily that you expect to get a gift back. I mean, when we give a gift, like for example, in Chinese culture, you would, accept the gift finally after it's been given to you a couple times, so that you don't appear greedy. But then you open it in private, and then you will send a thank you. For us, when we go to whatever the event is, like for example, these days we have a lot of bridal showers. And at a bridal shower, it is imperative that you open the gifts
Ah,
so
yeah.
that you know people get your reactions, and it's actually like a part of the game of the bridal shower, so that your reactions are recorded. So it's a very different culture. I mean, and you thank the people the same thing. I know back in the day, I'm not sure how many people do it now, but you would have sent a thank you card for your gift after you've received and open it. I know it's probably still done for like wedding gifts, that the bride and groom would still send a card to the persons they received gifts from. But generally speaking, you tell the person thank you when they give it to you. If they're okay with it, you can open it at the same time. Say, "Ooh, I love this. This is awesome." And that's how we do gift giving. But then
Yeah,
seeing it this way, it's a very different cultural experience for sure.
yeah. So talking about the 礼尚往来, yeah, we are not expecting people to return it, but you know, when it comes to the bride, to the weddings, sometimes the little youngsters have not a very solid economic
Yes,
condition. Just the friends, the relatives come and give some money and to support the youngster to build their own family, the new family. So that may be part
that is actually becoming quite
yeah,
popular
yeah,
around the world, I believe,
yeah,
because as with any gift giving, you may know what you want to give the person or what the person may like, but it's always better to give them money.
yes, but
They can get what they want. That way, there is no question as to giving the wrong thing. You've given money, they can get what they want afterwards.
Yes, and mostly every family has daughters and sons, and then this family got money, and then when the turn comes to next family, it's very reasonable for the other family to give money back to that family. I think that is what happened in China, and also as to the thing that come to, we're not accustomed to open at the spot of the gift, and that is means we are not focusing the value. You are right. We are not focusing on the value of the gift, but
more on the presence of the person,
on the friendship or the kindness. You come, it's okay. Why you born so? I don't care your gift, right? I don't care what you give to me, but I care you coming. So that's why we don't normally open the gift at the
same time.
front of people. Yeah, that is a way to show we are not caring about the value of the gift, but just you coming, your friendship, your kindness counts. Yes, that is that is part of the reason, I think. Yeah.
But it's actually quite interesting the differences. And when I had to do this, they were like Vicky would say, it's once you study in China, it's international. So you have students from all over the place. And we were then able to discuss like similarities and differences between China and other Asian countries. A lot of the Japanese and Korean, and there was somebody else, Vietnam, I think it was. Yes, they have a lot of similar things. Like, for example, don't give mirrors. They wouldn't give mirrors as a gift at all. And the black and white for wrapping stuff. Now, I know if I see black and white wrapping paper, it looks very modern, very chic, and therefore I would use it and I would wrap it and give a gift to somebody because it looks modern. But I obviously cannot do that for a Chinese person because it will be very disrespectful.
It's very strange, very odd. You're right, we use the red a lot. The red wrapping the rope to bind the rabbit. So
Mhm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
this give bright color, give us something like signal of happiness and
Yes.
the fortune something.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you. So
You're welcome.
very informative.
Right, so that is it for my contribution to Chinese Corner this afternoon. Anyone has any questions or wants to know more information, I will, like I said, I will provide the presentation to Grace and she can share it.
Thank you. Yes. Write to Confucius Institute at Cave Hill. I will put on the chat. If you want that, I will share with you. Let me put the email here. Confucius Institute. I hope I type it right. You can check. Confucius Institute, whether this is Confucius Institute, whether it is it's correct, right? Renee? Oh, sometimes I made spelling mistake.
Yeah, I will confirm by going to the website. Not sure about the O.
No O, right?
No,
You're right.
no.
No O. Let me type it
I
again.
always check that. No.
Yeah. I firstly without O, but I think maybe yeah.
No.
Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, here is it, right? Correction. So welcome to write and ask the PowerPoint, which Renee donation. I don't know whether Victoria, you can share your PowerPoint also, but you have a lot of personal pictures, right? So I will only share that. Right. Okay. Yeah. So other information you can ask. Yeah. No pictures. Thank you.
Grace?
That's
I'm
it.
sorry, I didn't understand what you said. You said no
Your
pictures.
PowerPoint can be shared.
I already sent it. I already sent it.
I know,
Yes.
but you can other person can reach that. I don't know whether that's. I don't know.
Pictures. I have no issue. They're just pictures from when I was in school, and all are not personal pictures. Some are pictures of places that are more modern now, since China has developed. So some are my own pictures, but others are pictures that I researched and found.
Okay.
So
no problem.
I have no issue.
Okay. All right. You have no issue. Thank you.
Make sure.
So I'll add a 2-point PowerPoint. Both PowerPoints will be available. Yeah, people who have interest could ask by writing to the Confucius Institute at Cave Hill, the UWI.edu, and I will share. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. Bye.
Hi, Philo, you're here. John, Dons, everybody, friends, thank you all for joining us. I hope you enjoy this afternoon's lecture.
It was.
I find it informative, very, very interesting. I enjoyed. Hello.
I got a bit of the last presentation.
And
it was good.
Yeah, very good one. Both of the teachers, Renee and Victoria, did a very good job. Thank you. Yes, very informative.
Yeah, you could probably send. I'll get Victoria's too, so then I can see it.
Yes. The informative, the history. I find some interesting pictures, photos. All right. Okay. Any questions? If no, I think this we have very wonderful afternoon. I enjoyed, and I hope all of you enjoyed also. Thank you.
Yes, I did.
Thank you all very much. Thanks
Yeah.
for arranging. Thanks to the
Thank you.
presenters.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Okay,
Stay
Thanks,
bye.
safe.
safe everybody.
Goodbye, you as well.
Bye. Next week we have a lecture also. Chinese traditional medicine. I forgot to say this.
Okay.
Chinese traditional medicine. That is a very informative one also. We have a lot of scholars. And during this time, I think we especially helpful and in helping people to fight against the COVID and help to prevent, to keep healthy. Yeah, welcome to join us next week, next Friday. 再见，
Okay.
再见，拜
Yes,
拜。
yeah.
再见。
Bye, Jen.
Bye, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Good weekend，拜拜。
Very serious. Bye.
It's the sensation. Oh.
How'd you like Tony Robbins and myself to help you launch your digital product in 3 days or less? That's a course, a workshop, a mastermind, a coaching program, an online training. Hey, it's Dean Graziosi, and I want to invite you to Build Your Brand Bootcamp. It's 3 days, about 2.5 hours a day, and it's absolutely free. If you've ever wondered how other people are selling what they know, have you ever felt like an imposter, or you have nothing to share, or you see other people that are called influencers, or selling a course, or doing coaching, or workshop, and you'd love to know, how do they do this from home? How do they sell what they know, help other people, and get paid to do it? Then you're going to want to click the link below here in a moment and join the Build Your Brand Bootcamp live. It's free. It's only happening once. And it's because this industry, the self-education industry, the upskill industry, the information age, whatever you want to call it, has completely transformed our lives. We've been in it for 60 years between the two of us. Now we're helping people all around the world see that knowledge is the new currency. And we can help you unlock it, confidently share it, know what platform and how to deliver it, and have it out to the world. And our bold promises. We're going to do this in 3 days, from not knowing this at all to being ready to launch, or in this space and fine-tuning it and making it irresistible. And this isn't for other people. This isn't for the doctors or the super professionals, even though I love doctors and super professionals. This is for everyday people like you that have a life experience that someone else wants to learn. Like Cynthia, who teaches people how to save on your taxes. Or Megan teaches you how to help your dog if they got bad hips. Or Alan teaches you how to sketch while you travel. Peter helps you learn how to empower your kids through divorce. Lorraine, how to master stress and anxiety. Tiffany on how to eat a healthy low-carb diet. Mark, how to build an app. Jill, how to do bookkeeping. Sarah teaches you Etsy. Holly, how to write a winning hit soul song in 8 weeks. Charles,